We begin with a correction, a quiet refusal of the common reading. And this is our thesis, the moral axis upon which everything that follows is going to turn. So, the subject of our examination is Mary Shelley's novel. Our method, well, you could call it a moral autopsy, a dissection of the choices that lead to ruin. We're going to proceed in 6 stages. First, obsession beyond limits. Then, creation without responsibility. After that, the psychology of rejection, followed by silence as moral cowardice. Then, mirroring mutual destruction. And finally, we'll look at what Frankenstein accuses us of. Each chapter examines a separate pathology, and together they form a complete diagnosis of a moral failure. So, Chapter 1. Our examination doesn't begin with the creation, it begins with the mind of the creator. We have to understand the internal state that made the external act even possible. Here, Victor Frankenstein offers his own warning. You have to understand, his aspiration isn't some noble curiosity for mankind, not at all. It's a desire to transgress his own nature. This ambition isn't for others, it's about conquering a limit, just for the sake of the conquest itself. Now, this admission is absolutely critical. His isolation, it wasn't a necessity of the work. It was a deliberate choice. He consciously postpones human connection, seeing it as an obstacle to his great object. And this is the very first act of walking away, first from his own humanity, and then from his duties of affection. Which brings us to Chapter 2. We now arrive at the moment that truly defines this entire narrative. And it's not the animation of life, no. It's the immediate total abdication of the responsibilities that come with it. First, let's just consider the intent here. The creator's goal was beauty. He didn't set out to build a monster. The design itself was meant to be one of perfection, an idealized form. And this is the pivot, the instantaneous rejection. The dream becomes a nightmare, not because of anything the creature does, but simply because of what it is. Victor's reaction isn't reasoned. It's a visceral recoil from his own success. He doesn't pause. He doesn't consider his duty. He just flees. This is the crucial distinction we have to make. The tragedy doesn't originate in the creature's nature. It originates in its reception. You see, monstrosity isn't an inherent quality. It's a judgment rendered by its creator. It is a status given through abandonment. Okay, Chapter 3. Having witnessed the abandonment, we now have to shift our focus to its consequences. We will examine the psychological development of the one who was abandoned. So let's take a look at the creature's initial state. While he secretly watches the DeLacy family, his very first response to human emotion is empathy. He feels their sorrow without even understanding its cause. There is no malice here, only a deep longing to comprehend connection. His self-awareness develops not from guidance but from isolation. These are the fundamental questions of existence, and for the creature there are simply no answers. He's a consciousness adrift, defined only by what he is not. He is not human, not part of the social world he observes. And then we have the turning point. After saving a young girl from drowning, the creature is shot by her companion. Think about that. An act of pure benevolence is met with violent rejection. It's this moment, the culmination of so many repeated exclusions, that transforms a desire for connection into a vow of vengeance. Violence is not what he is, it is what he has learned from humanity. Now for Chapter 4. We return to Victor Frankenstein to examine the primary symptom of his moral disease, his silence, his complete inaction in the face of the consequences that he himself unleashed. I want you to consider the language Victor uses as the innocent Justine Moritz is condemned for a murder his creature committed. His guilt manifests as private, passive suffering. He endures heart-sickening despair, but this despair leads to absolutely no action, no confession. It is a self-indulgence that allows an innocent to be executed in his place. The diagnosis here is clear. The gap between what he knows and what he does is absolute. He possesses the one truth that could save a life, and he withholds it. This silence is not neutral. It is an act of moral violence. It is a second abandonment, this time of his responsibility to justice itself. In this stage, Chapter 5, the pathologies of creator and creation converge. They become reflections of one another, locked in a singular, shared purpose: mutual annihilation. Think about Victor's purpose. It was once this godlike ambition of creating life, and now it's been reduced to this: The grand obsession has collapsed into a singular, destructive fixation. He lives only for revenge, a purpose given to him by the very being he abandoned. And the creature's own words just confirm this grim symmetry. He's no longer seeking acceptance or understanding. He now leads the chase, goading his creator toward a final confrontation. They are bound together, not by affection or duty, but by a shared journey toward death. The final legacy of walking away is a world with only room for two, and a promise that only one, if any, will remain. And so we come to Chapter 6. The autopsy is concluding. Having examined the text, we have to now turn the scalpel inward. You see, the novel's final purpose isn't to tell a story, it's to level an accusation. This question, it's not really about reanimating corpses, is it? It's about ideas, relationships, responsibilities. It asks us to examine the things we bring into this world, through action or inaction, and then abandon. The accusation is timeless, and it is deeply personal. So, we end where we began. The autopsy is complete, and the cause of death was not the monster. No, it was the refusal of care, the abdication of responsibility. A quiet, simple, and catastrophic act of turning one's back.
This is Spotlight Reads. Face the Abyss.
You did not create a monster. You created a consequence. Creation is easy. Staying is not. What was brought into the world did not ask for meaning. It waited to be given one. It looked for a face that would not turn away. It did not find it. Abandonment is not an accident. It is a decision made in silence. The moment responsibility ends, violence begins. Not immediately. Inevitably. What you refuse to look at does not disappear. It watches. It learns. It returns. The creature is not outside the human world. It is shaped by it. Every rejection teaches a lesson. Every silence sharpens it. Guilt without action is not remorse. It is self-protection. The creator survives by denial. The creation survives by adaptation. Both are damaged. Only one pretends otherwise. This is not a story about science. It is a story about refusal. Refusal to care. Refusal to remain. Refusal to accept consequence. When responsibility is abandoned, identity collapses. What remains seeks recognition by force. You do not escape what you make. You only delay the moment it speaks back. The mirror was always there. You chose not to face it.